So I played with 7 different sugars, flours, fats, and chocolates, made 28 doughs and baked it a bajillion times. Here's a secret ingredient nobody has ever talked about: softened sugar. Usually, chocolate chip cookies are made with a mixture of white sugar for crispiness and brown sugar for flavor, but I highly recommend swapping white sugar for softened sugar. Softened sugar is made with white sugar and a type of inverse syrup. Depending on the syrup, the results vary drastically. The easiest option is to use store-bought softened sugar. However, brands differ, making it harder to control the results, so I recommend making it at home. Options include this popular Korean corn syrup, which contains up to 50% maltose and gives your cookies reasonable crispiness. This Chinese corn syrup contains at least 80% maltose, which provides best results for flaky and crispy cookies and helps them stay crisp longer. Lastly, you may not expect this, neither did I, but this homemade clarified syrup for mooncakes, which I made a video a year ago, is almost identical to a previous one, if not better. To be honest, these syrups aren't traditional to make the classic softened sugar, and the texture is slightly or drastically different than the store-bought. However, considering convenience, consistency, and most importantly results, this syrup is the best. Here's a tested ratio to mixed softened sugar. Add 3.2 grams of syrup to every 100 grams of superfine white sugar. Mix thoroughly and use right away. In terms of fats, butter has a flavor that just can't be replaced with lard or oil. Bread flour gives cookies a nice chew when freshly baked, but turns a bit tough and off in texture over time. I tried this Chinese pastry flour and it worked quite well. Okay, here's my recipe. 145 grams Chinese pastry flour, 5 grams cornstarch, half shallow teaspoon baking soda, half teaspoon sea salt, 135 grams of European butter, 60 grams of softened sugar we just made, 60 grams of dark brown sugar, 1 large egg and egg yolk at room temperature, and 150 grams of semi-sweet to bitter chocolate, chopped into chunks. Let's first brown butter. Melt the butter over low heat, swirling constantly to even out the temperature. Then keep simmering. Butter contains water, so at this stage, the main goal is to evaporate the moisture. You can tell by the bubbles. They start almost like rolling boil, then slowly calm down into gentle sizzles. This means the water is almost evaporated, and browning begins. You'll notice more bubbles accumulating on top, and the color starts to change. Give it an occasional swirl. At a certain point, the bubbles will become quite foamy and keep growing. Check the color. If still light brown, keep simmering while swirling, but watch it closely. From light brown to amber brown happens within a minute. Don't burn it. Once it turns dark, take it off the heat and pour it into a mixing bowl. Sit a bowl on ice packs to help it cool faster. Once lukewarm, add brown sugar and softened sugar, whisking together till no lumps remain. Then add eggs and whisk vigorously for at least a minute. This is where the sugar starts to dissolve. In a sieve, add cornstarch, flour, and baking soda. Sift directly into the bowl. Then add sea salt. Switch to the rubber spatula and start mixing. By the way, I forgot to mention the flavoring, and I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of Kahlua, but feel free to substitute vanilla extract. I highly recommend not omitting flavoring. It adds another layer of depth to the dough. Mix well, then add chocolate. Here's a trick. Save a handful and add the rest. We'll use it later. As the butter cools, the dough will become somewhat difficult to mix, but it should still be soft and slightly sticky. To divide the dough, you may use either a 2 tablespoon scooper or a 4 tablespoon scooper. The smaller one gives you dough portions between 40 to 50 grams, while the larger one doubles that amount. It sounds like a lot, but once I tried a bigger one, I can never go back. Scoop a full portion of dough and space them 4 inches apart on a baking sheet. Bake immediately in a preheated oven at 180 degrees Celsius for 12 to 13 minutes. And if you're not allergic to nuts, add some toasted almonds to the rest of the dough. Mix well, then scoop on the baking sheet. Remember to save chocolate. Just press some on top as decoration. For this batch, I'll chill it in the refrigerator for an hour, then bake it at the same temperature for 14 to 15 minutes, or till golden brown and slightly underbaked in the center. So this is the immediately baked cookie, and this is 1 hour chilled cookie. Without hesitation, I'd just go for the prettier one. One key finding from all my tests is that all cookies taste good when freshly baked and slightly warm, so I've intentionally let this cookie cool for about an hour. Here's the thing, if you're a pro-crispy person, this one's just about right, or feel free to bake it a little longer. But if you're a soft cookie person, bake it a couple of minutes less so the center stays more ooey-gooey. This recipe makes 7 cookie dough portions. For the remaining 3, freeze them for 30 minutes, Then transfer them to a Ziploc bag and store them in the freezer. It's said that 3-day-old cookie dough tastes better than immediately baked dough. To me, the biggest difference is that the flavoring becomes more pronounced and well settled. Okay, here's a little confession. When I get a cookie craving, I just grab the frozen dough and pop it in the microwave on high. Since it's pretty small, 75 seconds is about right. Let it cool a bit, and boom, cookie ready to eat. No browning, no crisp, totally different from an oven-baked cookie. But hey, it's fast and gets the job done. That's it for today. Thanks for watching.